We are talking about a massive, monumental power shift happening in India right now. And really, it's a story about power in two senses. We're not just talking about what keeps the lights on, but about the power of people and technology to completely overhaul a nation's energy future. So let's start with a puzzle, a real economic head-scratcher. India's economy is absolutely booming, right? It's on a trajectory to become a global superpower, the digital economy is exploding, and yet the very power companies that are supposed to fuel all this growth are, to put it mildly, failing. How is that possible? Well, that paradox is exactly what we're going to unpack. And you can really see the two sides of the story right here. On one side, you've got the old guard, this sprawling, centralized 20th century grid of steel and wires. And on the other, you see the vision for the future. Green, local, decentralized. The tension between these two images, well, that's at the absolute heart of India's energy story today. So before we can get to where we're going, we've got to understand why the old system is so broken. It's a situation that a lot of people are calling a death spiral. Let's just start with a number that is almost impossible to wrap your head around. 90,000 crore rupees. That's the estimated annual loss for India's power distribution companies, the DISCOMs. Look, this isn't just a small leak in the budget. It's a financial black hole so big it makes upgrading or even just maintaining the system a nearly impossible task. So you're probably asking, where is all that money going? Well, a massive chunk is vanishing because of something called AT&C losses. The easiest way to think about it is the leaky bucket problem. Imagine the grid as a giant bucket carrying electricity from the power plant to you. Technical losses are like tiny holes where power literally leaks out as heat from old, inefficient wires. But then you have commercial losses, which are more like people just dipping in and taking power through theft or faulty meters. In some parts of the country, the total amount lost is over 20%. And of course, this isn't just an accounting problem. It has huge, real-world consequences. For millions of people, it means load shedding, those planned blackouts. It means wild voltage swings that can literally fry your TV or your fridge. For entire communities in remote areas, it means the grid might never even reach them. And with no money coming in, there's no way to fund upgrades. So the whole system just keeps getting worse. But here's the amazing part. Out of this crisis, a totally new way of thinking is emerging. It's a model that isn't about trying to patch up that old leaky bucket. Nope. It's about giving everyone their own source of water. This is the incredible rise of the prosumer. And this gets us to the core idea, the big solution. Microgrid sovereignty. It's really about freedom. The freedom for you, the consumer, to take control of your own energy. You stop being just a passive ratepayer at the mercy of a giant, faceless utility. Instead, you become an active prosumer. That means you both produce and consume your own power. Just look at the difference. The old model, it's unreliable, prone to outages. The microgrid model, it's highly reliable because it has its own local storage. The price you pay in the old system is a mystery, wrapped in regulations and subsidies. In the new model, it's transparent, based on simple local supply and demand. And governance, it shifts from some far-off bureaucracy to the community itself. But here's the real kicker, scalability. A traditional power project takes years of planning. A microgrid, you can get one up and running in a matter of weeks or months. So how does this magic actually work? The technology behind it is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, you generate your own power, usually with solar panels on your roof. Step 2, you store it. You have batteries to save that solar energy for nighttime or cloudy days, so you have power 24/7. And then, step 3, and this is the really revolutionary part, you can trade it. Smart software platforms allow you to sell any extra power you generate directly to your neighbor. It creates this tiny, local, super efficient energy market. Now, this isn't just a cool idea on a whiteboard. This technology is allowing huge parts of India to do something truly amazing, to just skip the old, broken system entirely. I mean, think about it. We've seen this movie before in India. Remember landline phones? India, as a country, largely skipped that whole era of putting expensive copper wires in the ground and jumped straight to mobile phones for everyone. Well, we're seeing the exact same leapfrogging effect happening with energy. Why would a village wait years, maybe decades, for the old grid to show up when they can build their own modern, reliable microgrid in a couple of months? And this is so much more than just keeping the lights on. Having reliable local power absolutely unleashes the economic potential of a place. A farmer can suddenly run a cold storage unit, which means their crops don't spoil. A small shop can run machinery without worrying about a blackout shutting them down. It's creating a whole new class of entrepreneurs, turning farmers and small business owners into energy producers themselves. Of course, a revolution this big is never easy. You can't expect to completely upend a century-old system without the old guard putting up a fight. And they are. And here's where it gets complicated. This analysis from the Brookings Institution brings up a fantastic point. A lot of these microgrids only exist because the main grid is so terrible. So it forces us to ask a really tough question. What happens if the main grid actually gets better? Do all these microgrids suddenly become useless? And that really frames the whole debate. Is this a fight to the death? Are microgrids here to compete with and eventually kill the old utilities? Or could they actually be partners in creating a better energy system for everyone? Well, the consensus that's emerging seems to point toward a hybrid future. The idea is to have what are called grid interactive microgrids. So yeah, they can operate all on their own, but they can also connect to the main grid. When they have extra power, they can sell it back to the big grid to prevent a blackout. When they need a little extra, they can buy it. In this vision, they're not competitors, they're partners, working together to make the entire system stronger. So when you put all these pieces together, what does the future of power in India actually look like? What's the endgame here? The vision isn't one single, fragile spiderweb of power lines stretched across the country anymore. Instead, picture a network of self-sufficient energy islands. Each island, whether it's a village, a factory, or a city neighborhood, can power itself. But crucially, they're all interconnected. They can share power and support each other, creating a system that is infinitely more resilient and harder to break than what we have today. So let's be clear about what's happening. We are witnessing a fundamental shift from a top-down, master-slave grid where one big utility calls all the shots, to a peer-to-peer network where power is distributed. And when a community gains control over its own energy, when it achieves energy sovereignty, it lays the foundation for its own economic sovereignty. And that leaves us with one final, very powerful thought. This transition, this move away from the old centralized grid, it feels inevitable at this point. The technology is here. The economics are making more sense every single day. So the real question isn't if this change is going to happen. The real question is, when it does, who's going to be in charge? Who will own the light? Today,